Okay, welcome everyone. Today, in another session with another postdoc student. Uh, I will not say student. This session we have started nearly a week ago, and we have come forward with our third recording. And this session is meant to guide other students who are pursuing PhD and want to pursue postdoc in their career forward. And today we have Dr. Amrit Singh Bedi with us. He did his PhD from IIT Kanpur and now he is presently as a research scientist in University of Maryland. I welcome Professor Bedi to this interaction session and I will ask him to introduce himself briefly. Welcome, Dr. Bedi.
Thank you, Dr. Tinder, for the introduction. Hi, this is Amrit, and I am currently a research scientist at UMD, University of Maryland College Park. Before that, I was a postdoc with the US Army Research Lab for 3 years, and I was working at the intersection of optimization and machine learning with specific applications to robotics. And before that, I was, as Atinder mentioned, was a PhD student at IIT Kanpur, working under the guidance of Dr. Ketan Rajawat. And I think we spent a beautiful 4 years together on IIT campus. And before that, I did my master's also from IIT Kanpur. And before that, I was a BTech student at Ratan Bahara Mohali campus. And before joining BTech, I took an unusual route of, I first did my polytechnic from Guru Nanak Dev Polytechnic, Ludhiana, and that's it.
Okay. So before we go into the further details of what I'm going to ask you during this session, I just want to clarify a few concepts here. That you before during your PhD time only, you got internship in 3 places. Am I right on this thing? Can you correct it if I'm right? If I'm wrong? You got 3 internships, one in France, one in US, in same US Army Research Lab, and one in Qualcomm.
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to know a little bit more about them, these positions. How did you get these positions?
Yeah, I think the basic rule for them is you need to find a person who works exactly in your area, not only just relevant, and you need to put yourself as a person who can actually bring in some nice new ideas to that particular area, and then you try to interact with those people whenever you get a chance. For example, from France, I think for the internship from France, the professor was visiting our campus, IIT Kanpur before that. So I interacted with him, talked about research ideas, and then he might have liked those ideas, and then he talked to me for regarding the opportunities, and that's how that landed up. And then same thing happened with the US internship. And for Qualcomm, actually, after my PhD open seminar, there were 6 months before the PhD defense, and I wanted to take some industrial exposure. I had not been worked in industry for any time before that. So I decided to apply for that internship, and there they took the interview, and then they decided to offer me the internship.
Okay, so I just want to clarify one more thing. In Qualcomm, they have a different session for internships, or did you apply for it and they created one?
No. You I think the standard way of Qualcomm hiring, if I'm not wrong, is they are very open with offering internships to students. And that is actually the best way, in my opinion, to get for both the parties, especially from Qualcomm, to actually test or know the person for 3 months. And similarly for the student, going to Qualcomm and working for 3 months in the team, and then realizing whether Qualcomm is a good fit for the students, right? It is not just the one way, students just want to go and work for Qualcomm, but if there's a synergy between both of them, then internship is the best way to realize that. And then I think in the end, they actually take a call, whether they want to offer you a full-time position or not. So after the internship, and then you can convert it into a full-time position. There are other routes also. You can directly apply for full-time position also, but I thought I would do the internship, and that's what I did.
Okay. Now coming to the US Army Research Lab. So you approached the professor for internship during PhD. And
Yes.
then how did you convert it into PhD in a postdoc position?
No, I didn't convert it. Like after my internship, I came back to India and I was like in India, I think for another 1.5 years. And then I actually get to know like when I was doing internship, like there are also postdoc positions available because I get to know the other people who are doing postdoc at that position. Not only that lab, like there are like different, even that lab or different like university, there are like website. I get to know about the websites where they post the postdoc positions. So I keep track of those positions and then I applied in time, like maybe when I was going to about to like defend my BSc just before like 9 or 10 months before that, I applied for that position and that's how I get to know or
Okay.
got that
Okay.
position.
Okay. The one main question that I ask all the candidates who come with for this interaction is that so during your PhD, how many number of collaborators do you have outside India and in India?
Mm. Yeah, I think in India, I didn't collaborate with anyone outside IIT Kanpur. I was just collaborating within the department, like the professor in power electronics, or I think, yeah, or within my own like signal processing department. I collaborated with other professors. And I also collaborated, same thing, like wherever I did internship, I just collaborated with them, nothing else. So maybe 1 or 2 collaborators from US, one from France. So that's it.
Okay. So I just want to give the perspective. If a PhD student wants to
Mhm,
collaborate with someone who is working in his area,
mhm,
someone in US or UK,
mhm.
what is the process basically? How can we ask him for collaborations in this particular subject?
I think you cannot just ask like randomly ask. You need to. I think the route for this is like for these kind of interactions is like attending conferences, and I think we undervalue the importance of attending conferences during our PhD a lot. That's what I think I realize at least is like, or what I feel is attending conference is very important because that is the place where because you will attend the conference in your area, you will not attend in any other area. So that is the golden opportunity. Like people from whoever works in your area will more or less will be there at the same venue, and that is actually the place where you go and talk to them, discuss ideas, like see if you have read their papers, talk about that and all. Otherwise, if you directly send an email, then the chances are like close to zero only they would reply. But if you interact with them at the conference venue, then I think it may result in a collaboration. Otherwise, it is very less. You think yourself, like if somebody from some university apply to you, like they want to collaborate with you, I don't think you would be that excited to reply to that email unless you have talked to that person and then you reply to
Okay.
email. Right?
So there is one general thing that people hesitate sometimes to talk to others.
Mhm.
So like the student is there and he wants to talk to a professor and he's waiting, like he's not getting that encouragement in himself to talk to that professor. What should a student do in that case?
Yeah, I think it is very much equivalent to stage fear. Like when somebody asks us to go to stage and say something, the same fear we have in ourselves, like when we go to the stage and speak. Like I think the only way to overcome is like just doing that. Right? You go to stage, pick up the mic, and then start speaking. You will feel nervousness in the starting, but eventually you will get over it. Right? You it 1 time, 2 time, 3 time. The same process you have to follow. You will definitely get that resistance from yourself, like okay, why talk, why to put yourself into because nobody wants to be uncomfortable in their life, right? That's an
Hmm.
uncomfortable position when you're going to talk to that person. But I think the only way to get rid of that feeling is like just doing that. Like you go there, put yourself in that position. Maybe the first conversation will not go well, but at least like the 10th or 20th or 100th conversation will definitely go well, and then you can talk. But there is no pill to get rid of that.
Okay, okay, good. So my next question is the main question of this interaction uh, is this postdoc positions, these
Mhm,
all these postdoc positions, what is their relevance in today's
mhm,
time? Do we really need them after researching for nearly 5 years in PhD
mhm, mhm,
and 2 years in MTech and
mhm.
masters, and we are still finding some temporary positions before landing into a permanent position? Why is this so important?
Yeah, so I think we need to distribute that as a curriculum of the eventual goal maybe staying in academia, because postdoc is mostly for academia. If you don't want to be in academia, then postdoc has very less relevance. Then it doesn't make, I might be wrong, but then I think it is less relevant, but it is more and more relevant if you want to see yourself in academia in the long run. Why it is important? Because to be a faculty or to be that do that job, there are like multiple dimensions to that job. Like you want to do research, you want to guide students, you want to write projects, you want to build a team, like you want to run a little small startup. Like the lab you will create is like a little startup, and you will be the managing director or like CEO of that startup, and you need to manage a lot of things. So in PhD, more or less, we just focus on one aspect of it, like doing research, learning to do how to do research. It is not about like just doing some research, but the process is before PhD, we have like almost zero exposure to how to do research, specifically in the normal colleges around us. And when we get into PhD, we learn like what is research, how to read papers, how to do research, just focus on one aspect. But what about the other aspects of that eventual future job, which is like how do you guide students? How do you look for new ideas? How do you because how do you work with a group of people? Working with yourself is very easy. You can work with your own schedule, like you know your weaknesses, you know your strengths, and you can hit accordingly. But when you work with someone else, you need a little bit more sense of companionship. You need to build a energy within that group, like everybody respects each other, and how to grow that thing. I think that's what postdoc is for. Like you know how to do research, but the other aspects of your personality, like maybe in PhD we may work on our presentation skills, but maybe for postdoc that is actually the time. Postdoc is like learning how to guide students, how to write projects, how to work more on presentation skills, how to look at the bigger picture of the research, because PhD is about the depth, but postdoc is about the width of this thing. I think if you keep those things separate and separate goal from that perspective, I think the relevance would become extremely clear, because that's how I see at things.
Okay, good to know about it. So I have another question that many students in India, they are trying to get postdoc abroad,
Mhm.
and they are facing many difficulties. Like
Mhm.
they are emailing the professors, hundred of professors, but they are not getting back any reply. Can you advise them in any way that how they should change their process to get a reply from them?
Yeah. So for that specific question, I guess like the goal should not be getting a PhD, getting a postdoc position abroad. Goal should be like, what do you want to do next after your PhD, and what is the good, like the best position to achieve that goal? Like you want to work in the same area, you want to work in a different area, or you want to, like, are you really driven by your passion to do research? Once you have clarity about that aspect, then you shortlist the places in the whole world. It is not just about that. It might be the case that to achieve those skills, maybe like some place in India has better people or better group than abroad. So I think that's the issue. When we just focus on applying abroad, then we mismatch things. If once the goal is clear, what do you want to do, what area you want to pursue research, so that the idea is clear in your mind, the vision is clear in your mind. And when you write an email to a professor or someone outside India or inside India, and when they read email, I think they are smart enough to judge the vision in the email. Like when you, and they can very easily, I think even you can tell a difference very easily if someone has written email just for the sake of it, or they are like truly driven. When you see an email from a person who is truly driven for research, or really want to, or is passionate, or know where he or she wants to go, you can see that reflecting in the email. And I think that nobody can like teach anyone, like that you need to get from within yourself. Like if you can reflect your honesty in your email, then I can bet you like everybody will reply to you. And it's not like people don't look at email, they do look at emails, but it is very easy for them to figure out like whether this person is applying for postdoc just to get out of the place or really want to do research. So they can very easily differentiate that. And you need to maximize the intention of really doing research and showing your passion for research rather than just finding a position in abroad. I think that's the wrong goal. The correct goal should be what is the next research, and if that happens to be in abroad, well and good, you can go there. But if let's just say that, and if you're truly driven, then you won't even apply. So I think that priority needs to be clarified, in my opinion.
Thank you, Dr. Bedi. It was wonderful answer for this question. I'm going to ask a very simple question to you now. A student who wants to do PhD, if you want to give any general advice to him, I will ask you to give any general advice to him.
Yeah, I think the general advice, whoever wants to do PhD is like, after I have gone through the whole process, I was not that mature enough or well aware of all these facts I'm going to say before applying for PhD. I think now if I would have known all these things like before, I would have taken different decisions in my life. But I think the underlying idea is like, are you truly driven by research to pursue PhD? Because we never, I think the worst thing we always do is like, we never give importance to ourselves when we try to decide something. Like, you need to give importance to the fact that you are going to spend 5 years of your life on something, or maybe throughout your throughout your life, you're going to maybe doing research. So that is the crucial moment, like maybe watershed moment in your life, when you decide whether you want to pursue a research career or not. And you may find an answer, you may not find an answer, but the important thing is you acknowledge the fact, or at least you are aware of the fact what you are putting yourself into, so that you find for good directions, your passion. I think then PhD would turns out to be wonderful. Otherwise, like, if you just decided for the sake of let's do PhD, then after entering into PhD, I think you will very easily try to find the reasons of not doing it. But once you have a solid reason of doing it right from the start, then there is no reason you will try to find, like, okay, you will always be driven by passion, and you will cover up all the difficulties throughout the process. That's what I think matters the most, and it applies to all domains of life, not just PhD, right? When we are truly driven by anything, we just do it. At the end of the day, it just matters how badly you want. Like, if you want PhD bad enough, like no matter what happens, you will do it, then I think you should go for it and you will really ace it. Otherwise, it might be not that great. That's what I think. And to be honest, I was not aware of this information before starting my PhD. So that's it.
Yeah, great. Great to know about it. So that's all from here. I think we have covered a lot of questions in this session, and if we require, then we might have another session with you based upon the comments on these videos and everything. I will ask the audience if they have any comment they want to ask Dr. Bedi anything about their research group, or they want to collaborate with him. They can comment on this video, and I will share his contact details with him, or you can Google him up and check his website also. He has posted some traveling photos also in America and in North India. You check it out, and they are very interesting. I really liked his website also. And thank you, Dr. Bedi, for your time. And it was a wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Everybody have a great time. Bye.